Imagine you're meeting a friend for coffee or tea. You both sit down, you got your drink, maybe a snack. You had a bit of a conversation about how you both got there because, yes, it is actually a meeting where you see each other in person. It's something very special nowadays, isn't it? And after that initial small talk, you look at your friend more seriously and you ask them, "So, we have about 1.5 hours here together. What would be a good outcome for us? How would we know this was worth our time?" And your friend looks at you, blank stare, and wonders, What? What did you just ask? Well, that really is awkward, isn't it? If we ask that kind of question in a conversation with a friend over coffee, we will get a stare. Like we are crazy. Why would we formalize a conversation? Why would we need to discuss an outcome? Well, and that's why we need to talk about the coaching agreement again. Because this is exactly what a coach would do in a conversation that is fulfilling the coaching competencies. One of the most important differences between a coaching conversation and a normal, in quotes, conversation is that we make a specific, focused agreement. And when you do it like I've just done, it feels awkward, doesn't it? And in today's episode, we're talking about this aspect of the coaching agreement and a few others. Why it is actually quite difficult to pull off a good agreement and keep the flow of the conversation. Curious? Well, let's continue after the break.
Welcome to the Coaching Leader Podcast, specially crafted for the ears of ambitious people leaders who want to take their own communication skills to a whole new level. We are the home of the IntelliCoach Leader Academy. We are on a mission to give leaders an edge with the most powerful skills of executive coaches so that they can create strong, trusting relationships with their team members, their peers, and yes, their own bosses. And here is Mike, your host. Let's get started.
Well, welcome back on our second episode out of 3 about the coaching agreement. And as I shared in the beginning, in the intro, it would be really strange if you ask your friend out of the blue, "So what should we get out of this hour that we have together here, eating and drinking and meeting?" We simply don't do this very often. We don't speak like this during a normal conversation. And it's one of the standout features of what makes coaching different. So in this episode, I will talk about the 4 most important things that hold people back from making really good agreements in their coaching conversations. And those 4 are, number 1, that it feels unnatural and weird to do this in the first place. Number 2, that we always believe that agreeing is sort of happening before coaching, and it's not coaching itself. Number 3, that agreements are useful, but they are not always required. And lastly, if I do an agreement, if I just sneak it in somehow, it feels like I stop coaching. It feels like I'm pushy. Let's go through all those 4. Number 1 was it feels unnatural and weird. Well, welcome to the world of coaching. I saw it so many times, I experienced it myself, that it is a strange thing to ask people for what they want to get out of just talking with you. We do this in meetings, and that's probably the one biggest tip I can give you. If you are effective at work, with your teams, in projects, then you will always ask people what you're here for. What is this meeting for? And you should simply carry that kind of mindset into one-on-one conversations. And that's a hard one to make. To sit with somebody and ask them, we have about 45 minutes here together. What would be a good outcome for you here? It is unusual to do that. And that's why you know that you're learning. Most people who start doing this, who start putting the attention on the conversation, feel it's unnatural and weird. And they feel now, maybe coaching is a bit different. Coaching is not just putting a bit of a spin of a normal conversation that I already have. No. For example, you want to coach a friend, you need to make like a mental cut. You need to have a break in between where you basically tell them, look, I'd be happy to help you on your challenge here with your own boss. However, if I were to coach you, it means that we're actually talking in a different way. And I'm using the method of inquiry. And first of all, I would like to actually agree with you what it means to run a good coaching conversation for you. So as a coach, in that moment, you partner and you invite the other person to put the focus not on the topic content, we'll get to that later, but we'll put the focus on the success criteria of the conversation that we are in. So yes, it's completely normal that it feels unnatural and weird. That was number one. Number two, people have a feeling very often that agreeing happens before coaching. So you agree on something and then you start. And an impact of that misconception is that we often cut short the time that we spend on agreeing. Yet the important message here is this: agreeing is coaching. And agreeing is like a separate coaching conversation on its own, where we spend time with our partner, with our coachee, to find out what's really important for them. And the reason is that most people come to you, might be at work, might be an official client, sort of having a rough idea of what they want to talk about. The process of agreeing on what needs to happen in the session, what the success is of the time that you have together, that process is an act of focusing. And it creates a sort of clarity on client what is really important for them. Don't cut it short. I've had sessions where I spend 30 minutes of coaching and 20 minutes of that is spent finding out what the person actually wants to talk about. And that's important time spent because it means they are not really aligned yet with themselves. What's most important? And that is a conversation on its own. So no, agreeing doesn't happen before coaching. Agreeing is coaching. That's the number two of our misconceptions, of our things that make it challenging and strange and difficult to make a coaching agreement. Number three, people often believe, I've seen this so many times, that agreement is useful to make, but it's not really required. Because if I already have a good conversation, I'll just continue. I'll just ask my client, I just ask my team member what they want to, what they can do. What's in their way? What are they challenged by? What could help? And so forth. I simply do coach. Be very careful. And it's connected to the point before, to the second point, that we think agreeing happens before coaching. When we skip the agreement phase because we think it would sort of be weird to do it now, we are actually depriving value from our client. And the most important value that we as coaches provide in the beginning of a conversation is that we focus on what really matters. It's a bit of an insecurity of the coach to believe that maybe my client will be angry if now I cut in and say, okay, so I hear that you want to talk about finance and you already have some ideas, but would you mind if I just draw us back for a moment to why we are actually here? Because I'm not sure I fully am in sync with you. So if that's okay with you, I would like to know, if we continue to talk about this topic, what would be a good outcome for you at the end of the 20 minutes that we have together here today? And that is, for example, a way how you can draw a client back. You can help them. You can also re-emphasize the value of doing that, for example. And you can say, and I do this because I want to make sure we are fully in sync and you get the best possible outcome of our session and we make the most use of our time. So agreement is useful but not required. Well, that's not a good statement because we are limiting ourselves here. We're limiting the value that we can give to our client. And from a pure point of coaching competency, making an agreement is a non-negotiable part of the process that you impose on your client. And yes, you hear right, we are imposing something on the client. But what we are imposing is not a solution for their problem, but we are enforcing basically a process. And the process of coaching is, I mentioned it before, you meet your client, you respect them for choosing you as their coach, you hear them out, you find really out what they want to overcome, where they are, number A, where they want to go, number B, what's in between. And finding out what B is, that goal, is necessary. Otherwise, you're just moving around in your car without knowing where to go. And maybe you arrive at a nice location, that's great, but it's more accidental. And a conversation with a friend is more like just going for a walk and seeing where you go. That kind of conversation has a different purpose though. It's one of wild exploration. A coaching conversation works best when it's highly focused. And it takes that agreement to do that. So don't skip it. Don't skip it because you think it might be not required, or maybe my client will be angry. They already felt so good in exploring that topic. Why should I bring them back now? No. Gently invite your client back to the agreement phase if you haven't done that yet. So that at the end of the session, you can also say and ask whether you actually agreed it. Without an initial agreement, you also don't know whether you actually arrived. So that was number 3. The agreement is useful, but not required. Well, that's not a good statement. Number 4, and the last one here. Focusing my client on an agreement feels like I stop coaching. I'm forcing something. And that's a more specific way of expressing the last 2 items that I shared. That there is a misconception as a coach. I always give my client complete freedom. I never impose anything on them, but that's not really true. They are the expert in the content. We are the expert in the process. So when we focus our clients on the agreement, it may feel like we stop coaching in that moment. But as I mentioned in the beginning, agreeing is coaching. And you're not forcing your client into an unnatural part. It only becomes unhelpful if you tell your client actually what their goal should be. And we should never do that in a normal coaching conversation. As a leader coach, however, we might actually do this. We might come into a conversation with a certain non-negotiable that needs to be discussed. That is a separate topic. But in general, focusing our client on the agreement will only feel like we're forcing and we're unnatural in the beginning of our coaching journey. The moment you learn this really well, it becomes so natural that you realize the moment you don't do it. I had this instance so many times that I talk with a client and I realize in the middle of the conversation that, what are we actually talking about here? What do we want to get out of this? And I realize myself, I actually don't know. I don't think I've done a good job agreeing with my client here on what we need to get to. And that is an awful feeling as a coach when you don't know where your client wants to go. And you're just floating in the conversation. And that's, by the way, one of the main reasons why coaching is often perceived as slow or not effective. Because your act of agreement was not done in a very focused way. So I think we can all do better than this. And we can all take our learnings from, for example, how we run good meetings directly into a coaching conversation. And in this episode here today, we talked about those 4 ways. I'll summarize. At first, we might feel it's unnatural and weird to do it. That's completely normal. Get over it. After 20, 30 hours of coaching, it will feel unnatural and weird if you not do it. Number 2, the perception is that agreeing happens before coaching. We could not be more wrong. Agreeing is at the heart of coaching. It focuses our client. It helps us identify what's really most important for them. The third thing was that, agreements are useful but not really required. Untrue. Agreements are required. And the shorter your conversation, the more important is that you agree. Let's say you have only a 5-minute chat with your team member and you just jump in and tell them what they should do. There's no time left to even hear them out. And that's counterintuitive. It feels wrong sometimes for us as leaders if we do that. But agree every single time. And lastly, We might feel that focusing my client on an agreement feels like I stop coaching. I force something. I bring them back outside of the conversation. No, it is respectful. It creates a red thread. It is something that is hugely beneficial. And unfortunately, our clients might not know that. And we don't need to make our clients an expert in the coaching process. However, what I tell my clients often is that the moment we are in coaching, we're having a coaching conversation, I use the method of inquiry. And I will help you identify what is really most important for you right now. And first of all, let's start agreeing what's actually important here. I help my clients through that, not by teaching them, but at least telling them what the coaching process is about. And by the way, if you don't do this, let's say in my course, the IntelliCoach Leader Academy program, if you coach a team member, if you coach a peer, if you show a recording of a coaching conversation and you forgot to agree, you will have failed the coaching core competencies. The thing that I ask in every single observed coaching session in my course is, how good was the agreement? How strong was it? How clear was it? The universal truth is, the clearer and crisper the agreement, the better the coaching conversation. There is a direct causation too. I hope this was useful to you and an interesting excursion into one of the most important aspects of very good coaching. Making a good agreement can be strange and difficult, especially in the beginning. And I hope you learned something here today to level up your game in this area. In the next episode, I'm going to actually take it even one step further. And I'm going to introduce the 4 exact behavior markers that the International Coaching Federation presents. This is how you can observe yourself, whether you have done a really good job in this. And if you want to know even more than this, right now at the end of August when I record this, I have actually started a very special celebration deal for my next course run, which happens only in November. But if you are curious at all to join the IntelliCoach Leader Academy program, which teaches you all these skills, you can join now. You can take advantage of a super early bird that I'm running until the 15th of September for a price point that will never come back. And I put the link to that also in the show notes. Would be really excited to have you explore this idea with you. And if you are really curious, you can even try the course environment for free and get 6 to 8 hours of learning. All complimentary, and that even includes a conversation with me. Let me know what you think. I'd be really excited to welcome maybe some of my listeners here to this exciting journey later this year. All the best. This is Mike. Have a good day.
You've been listening to the Coaching Leader Podcast. To ensure you never miss an episode or other updates from us, head over to intellicoach.com/connect. Here you will find our magic link to subscribe to our podcast. Thanks a lot for listening. Hear you soon.